The Sunday family dinner was exactly as excruciating as I'd expected. Crystal glasses clinked against fine china as my relatives performed their weekly ritual of success comparison, each trying to outdo the other with tales of promotions, purchases, and social climbing. I sat quietly at my assigned spot, the far end of the table, idly picking at my mother's overcooked roast while the familiar drama unfolded. "Garrett just made junior partner," my sister Fiona announced, squeezing her husband's arm. "The youngest in the firm's history." "Well," Cousin Paige countered, "Declan's startup just secured second-round funding. $10 million. She smirked in my direction. Real tech success, not just coding in someone's basement. If only they knew that someone's basement was actually a secure development facility where my team had just completed the most advanced AI system in history. But that news wouldn't break until tomorrow's market opening. "And what have you achieved lately, Shai?" My mother's question cut through the chatter, all eyes turning to me. "Still doing that, what do you call it, programming?" I took a small sip of wine, a $2,000 bottle I'd brought but let them serve in their cheap glasses. "Just working on projects." "Projects?" my father scoffed. "While your cousins are building real businesses, you're playing with computers? When are you going to do something meaningful with your life?" If he'd bothered to read the confidential documents I'd signed last week, selling my company, Quantum Core Solutions, to Microsoft for $62 billion, he might have had a different definition of meaningful. "At least she's employed," Aunt Wendy offered with fake sympathy. "Though, dear, there are some entry-level positions at Declan's company, something more suitable for your skills." Declan nodded magnanimously. "We always need people for basic coding. I could put in a word." I suppressed a smile, remembering how my company had just acquired Declan's successful startup through a shell corporation. By tomorrow afternoon, he'd be essentially working for me, though he didn't know it yet. "Shai's always been different," my mother sighed, serving more wine. "Not everyone can be ambitious like Fiona or business-savvy like Declan." Fiona preened at the praise. "It's about making smart choices, getting real degrees, not those online courses Shai wastes time on." Those online courses had included advanced quantum computing research that had revolutionized the tech industry, but they'd never bothered to ask what I was actually studying. "Did you see the Tesla I just bought?" Garrett changed the subject, always ready to flaunt his partner's salary. 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. "Very nice," I murmured, thinking about the fleet of custom hypercars in my private garage. The Bugatti alone cost more than his annual income. "You should dream bigger, Shai," Fiona advised with condescending concern. "Look at all of us, successful careers, beautiful homes, real achievements. What do you have to show for yourself?" I checked my watch discreetly. In exactly 14 hours, the New York Stock Exchange would open and the biggest tech acquisition in history would be announced. My family's definition of achievement was about to be dramatically revised. "More potatoes, dear? At least you're looking healthy." I declined politely. My simple black dress hid its Chanel label. The small diamond studs in my ears cost more than Fiona's entire jewelry collection. But like my success, I kept them deliberately understated. "The business pages are fascinating lately. All these tech companies making billions. Real innovation, not whatever little app Shai's working on." My little app had just revolutionized artificial intelligence, but tomorrow's headlines would explain that better than I ever could. "Speaking of business," Declan boasted, "my company's about to announce something huge, real game-changing technology. I bit back a laugh. His company's huge announcement would be overshadowed by the news of its acquisition by Quantum Core and Quantum Core's subsequent sale to Microsoft. Sometimes revenge is best served with a side of irony. Remember when Shai said she was going to change the world? Fiona laughed. How's that going, sis? My phone buzzed silently. Final confirmation from my lawyers that everything was ready for tomorrow's announcement. The press releases were prepared, the interviews scheduled, my face about to be splashed across every major business publication as the tech world's newest billionaire. Just working on it, I replied quietly, watching my family continue their performance of success and superiority. In less than a day, their carefully constructed hierarchy would be completely upended. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't arguing or explaining, it's letting people's own words come back to haunt them in the most public way possible, and tomorrow was going to be very, very public. The Sunday dinner charade continued for another 2 hours. Between bites of dry roast and forced smiles, I watched my family perform their weekly ritual of one-upmanship. Each boast made tomorrow's revelation that much sweeter. Did you hear about the mysterious tech company everyone's talking about? Declan asked, swirling his wine. Quantum Core Solutions? They're supposedly revolutionizing AI, but nobody knows who's behind it. I took another sip of my expensive wine, savoring both its taste and the irony. The mysterious company they'd all been speculating about was sitting at their table, relegated to the far end like an afterthought. Probably some Stanford graduate, Fiona theorized, or Harvard Business School, someone with real credentials, not community college classes like Shai. My community college classes had actually been advanced quantum computing research conducted under a pseudonym at multiple universities, but they'd never bothered to ask what I was really studying. The Wall Street Journal says it's the biggest innovation since the internet, Garrett added. Stock market's going crazy with speculation. Speaking of stocks, my father turned to me with his usual disapproval. Have you started that retirement account I suggested? At your age, with your limited career prospects, you need to think about the future. I thought about the offshore accounts holding billions in pre-IPO Quantum Core stock, about the real estate portfolio spanning 3 continents, about the private island I'd bought last month. I'm working on it. We're just worried about you, dear. Everyone else is so established, and you're still experimenting. My phone buzzed again. Final confirmation from Microsoft's legal team. The contracts were signed, the money transferred. By tomorrow morning, I would be one of the wealthiest people in tech history. Maybe Shai could invest in Declan's startup, something small just to learn about real business. Declan laughed. Our minimum investment is $5 million, not exactly Shai's league. I suppressed a smile, thinking about the acquisition papers sitting in my lawyer's office. By tomorrow afternoon, Declan's successful startup would be a tiny subsidiary of my empire. I saw a coding bootcamp advertised, Fiona offered with fake helpfulness, much more practical than whatever secret project you're working on. The secret project had just redefined artificial intelligence as the world knew it. Tomorrow's technology sections would explain it in detail alongside my photo and life story. More wine, Shai? My mother's voice carried that special blend of pity and disappointment she'd perfected over years of practice. At least you can enjoy the nice things your successful siblings provide. I declined politely, checking my watch again. 12 hours until market opening. 12 hours until everything changed. You know, Garrett lectured, success is about seizing opportunities, making bold moves, not hiding in the shadows with little projects. My phone lit up with another message. Press embargo lifts at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All major networks standing by. Forbes cover story ready. I saw an entry-level position at my firm, Fiona added with fake helpfulness. Administrative work, but it could be a foot in the door, something more realistic for your skills. The irony was delicious. By this time tomorrow, my net worth would exceed everyone at this table combined, multiplied by 1,000. Remember when Shai said she was going to revolutionize technology? Declan laughed. Back in high school? How's that working out, cuz? I smiled softly, thinking about the revolutionary AI system that was about to make me billions. Still working on it. That's the problem, my father declared. Always working on something, never actually achieving anything. When are you going to show us some real results? Tomorrow should be interesting, I murmured. Oh? My mother perked up. Did you finally take that receptionist position we suggested? Not exactly. I stood up, gathering my things. Thank you for dinner. I have an early meeting tomorrow. A meeting? Fiona scoffed. With your basement coding friends? Actually, it was a meeting with Microsoft's board of directors, followed by a press conference that would make global headlines, but they'd find that out soon enough. Don't forget next Sunday, my mother called as I headed for the door. Though maybe dress a little better, Fiona is hosting at her new mansion. I paused at the doorway, taking one last look at their smug faces, their assumed superiority, their complete ignorance of what was about to happen. I might be busy next Sunday, I replied softly. I have a feeling work will be quite demanding. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's letting people marinate in their own condescension right until the moment everything changes, and tomorrow was going to change everything. Monday morning dawned crisp and clear, a perfect day for shattering illusions. I sat in my penthouse office watching the sunrise over the city, while multiple screens displayed news channels counting down to market opening. My phone had been buzzing since midnight. Fiona. Why are there reporters outside my house? Declan. Something weird is happening with my company's stock. Mother. Dear, why is your picture on CNBC? I hadn't responded. After years of their dismissal and condescension, I wanted them to experience the revelation along with the rest of the world. 5 minutes to market open, my assistant announced. All networks standing by. The Microsoft CEO is ready for the joint announcement. I straightened my custom Armani suit. No more hiding in simple black dresses. Today, I was finally stepping into the light. Breaking news. The headlines began rolling across every screen. Microsoft acquires Quantum Core Solutions for $62 billion, largest tech deal in history. My phone exploded. Father. Shai, is this a mistake? Fiona. That can't be you on Bloomberg. Declan. Why is my company stock redirecting to Quantum Core? The morning news shows were running my life story. Unknown genius behind tech's biggest innovation. Secretive CEO reveals identity. The woman who revolutionized AI. Your family is trying to get past security in the lobby, my assistant reported with a slight smile. Should I let them up? Not yet, I replied, watching the stock market open with a record surge. Let them watch it unfold like everyone else. The business channels were running footage from last night's dinner, courtesy of the security cameras I'd quietly installed months ago. Their dismissive comments about my little projects played in stark contrast to headlines announcing my company's historic valuation. Shai? Fiona's voice came through on speakerphone. What's happening? Garrett says his firm's biggest client just got acquired by you. Oh, you mean that entry-level position you suggested? I'm afraid I'm a bit overqualified now. Declan's panic was palpable. The acquisition papers, they're from your company. You bought us. Consider it a family investment, though I'm afraid some restructuring will be necessary, starting with the CEO position. The elevator finally opened, admitting my shell-shocked family into my real world. They stood frozen, taking in the panoramic office, the wall of screens showing my name and face, and the reality of what their failed daughter had actually achieved. But, her mother stammered, clutching her cheap purse, you were just coding in your room. Actually, I gestured to the screens displaying Quantum Core's revolutionary AI interface, I was developing the most advanced artificial intelligence system in history, not that any of you ever asked. Those online courses, Fiona whispered, were advanced quantum computing research. The secret project you mocked just revolutionized 3 different industries, and that basement coding job was running a multi-billion-dollar company. My father sank into a designer chair, his face ashen. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have listened? I asked quietly. When did any of you actually ask about my work, try to understand what I was building, show any interest beyond comparing me to my successful siblings? The screens showed my net worth ticking upward as Quantum Core stock soared. $62 billion, $70 billion, $75 billion. But last night, Garrett protested, you just sat there while you, what? I interrupted. Mocked my career, suggested entry-level positions, lectured me about real success? Yes, as I sat there, I wanted you to have one last chance to show who you really were. Declan stared at his phone, watching his company's stock be absorbed into Quantum Core. You planned this, all of it, every detail. I confirmed. The dinner, the timing, the announcements. Consider it a lesson in what real business looks like. The morning news shows were now running segments on my journey, photos of the basement where I'd started coding, actually a secure quantum computing lab, interviews with renowned scientists about my innovations, economists discussing how I'd built an empire in secret. Miss Shai, my assistant interrupted, the president would like to schedule a call to discuss your AI innovations, and the Nobel Committee is online too. My mother collapsed onto a leather sofa. The Nobel Committee? Apparently, revolutionizing quantum computing while maintaining complete anonymity is quite impressive, though not as impressive as an entry-level receptionist position, right? The headlines kept rolling. Tech's new queen, the billion-dollar secret, the genius they didn't see. About next Sunday's dinner, my mother began weakly. I'm afraid I'll be busy, I smiled. Board meetings, press conferences, Nobel Prize considerations, you understand, real business. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving people wrong, it's making them watch as their entire understanding of success gets completely rewritten. Security will show you out, I added, turning back to my screens. I have a company to run, several companies actually, including Declan's. And oh, Fiona, about that administrative position you suggested, I'm afraid we have rather high standards here at Quantum Core, but feel free to submit your resume like everyone else. The elevator doors closed on their stunned faces, leaving me alone in the empire I'd built while they were busy underestimating me. My phone buzzed one last time. Family dinner next Sunday? I smiled, thinking about all the dinners where they dismissed my dreams, all the lectures about real success, all the times they'd made sure I knew I wasn't good enough. Sorry, I typed back, too busy changing the world. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's making sure people understand exactly what they failed to see, and I had all the time in the world to let that lesson sink in.